All right. Well, I'm here with Caitlin, and I thought the most important story was China seething, but we have quite a few others, starting with Australia banning TikTok.
Yeah, so there was a lot of talk in the US news about banning TikTok on US government devices because, of course, China and the US aren't on the best terms.
That we
Uh,
have done, I think, on government devices.
yeah, so on government devices, we were talking about other devices as well. It turns out that the Australian government also is banning TikTok on their government devices. Now, I know, Sam, you said, what's the deal? Obviously there's something going on with these apps that the governments are very scared of. And I'm not I'm still not entirely convinced this isn't another, red scare of some kind. But it is intriguing that two governments are saying, no, this is too unsafe to have on our government devices.
Well, I think it's politics and not technology, really.
I don't know. We'll see how this works. So let me share the article. Aha. Oh, and I should probably extend my browser out a bit
Mhm.
so it fills your screen. There we go. Okay, so the article is by news.com.au. You can't beat that. And let's see. So yeah, the title of the article is Australian government bans TikTok on government devices. And who's it written by? It is written by the ghosts of news.com.au. Apparently, they don't even say.
Obviously, ChatGPT.
Yes, it was written by ChatGPT. Apparently, we'll say that. Okay, cool. But yeah, this is where it comes from. And yeah, so the Australian government is looking to ban TikTok on their government devices. So
Yeah, and because they say they're worried about the data being collected,
right,
spying on them, right?
right. Data being collected, and also being used back against them. Fake accounts, stuff like that, propaganda.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the actual privacy invasion is less important than the possibility of propaganda,
Yeah, I mean, if it's privacy, then all the U.S. companies too are 100% guilty as well.
and much more so, I think. Yeah,
Yeah,
much more likely to. Yeah.
I don't think
Anyway,
more so, but just as.
I think it's just a question of how much you want to entangle your economy with a hostile partner.
Right.
I think that's anyway. So I was surprised to see a very good article on the Washington Post about the 3CS hack. I've been hearing a lot about this, but there weren't many details, and this seemed like a really nice rundown of the timeline. Um, so 3CX makes voice over IP client software, which is apparently very popular, which is news to me. So I guess a lot of people are using computers for telephones in businesses. And they had a supply chain attack, which they really failed to detect. It started last year, and they got a few clues that something bad was happening, but they wrote them off as false positives. So their stuff got poisoned. So the people downloading the official updates have malware from North Korea, and then it phones home, and they detect a bunch of machines phoning home, but they didn't seem to actually use it to do any harm. This reminds me of a big attack, Conficker, about 10, 15 years ago. Confictor infected millions of machines, went through many updates, but never actually got around to delivering any harmful payload. And eventually the antivirus companies wiped it out. And the same thing happened here. They managed to take down the infrastructure that it's phoning home to, probably by taking over the domains or something. And they say it's pretty much defanged. And they say after infecting many machines, they just carefully attacked 10 cryptocurrency faces to try to steal their cryptocurrency. And that was it, which would very much be in line with North Korea's um, general attacks. All they're really trying to do is find crypto to steal it. They didn't really seem to want to exploit the other companies. So it seems to have been a success. Even with a very poor detection in the first place, the cybersecurity response appears to have stopped it before it's going to do any more harm. And so that's relatively cheerful, although not for a very good reason. It's not like our defenses really helped very much. It's just that the attacker, they say, is quite weak. They say compared to the solar winds, the difference is the difference between North Korea and Russia. The North Koreans are just not very good at this, and the Russians really are very good at this. So when they get a supply chain attack, they really exploit it much more effectively. And all right. And so let's go back to you with a social engineering attack.
Yeah. So of course, one of the first things that's being rolled out now that we have acceptable AI is malware, using it to make malware. So I've been very interested in using ChatGPT to write computer code for me, generative on the end user's devices. And I'll look into that this year. There is an article by IT Pro showing the more obvious use of generative AI, which is to write emails. In fact, itpro.com has an article by Zach Marzouk showing that there is a 135% uptake of novel email attacks using generative AI. So this is really kicking off. And basically what's happening is that every email is going to start becoming a spear phishing email, because the generative AI can create emails that are specific to each specific person. Let's see. So it's increasing text volume, sentence length, and punctuation in emails. So you'll start getting emails that look like they're coming from your friends. Like let's say a worst case scenario is that a hacker takes over your friend's emails or a coworker's emails. A generative AI can look through the past emails, right? Say, figure out what emails to so-and-so looked like, and write a new one, and make it totally look legit. And they can do it en masse. I mean, that's the thing that's stopping it right now, is that hackers just don't have the time to do it en masse. So they have to rely on either spear phishing, like picking out very specific targets, or sending out mass emails. So,
well, on the bright side, this means you don't need humans. The bots can write the emails, and the bots can read the emails and respond to the emails, and
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, I wonder what's going to happen when enough of these accounts get hacked that the generative AI starts sending emails to each other, trying to hack each other.
This is why, one dark future that I haven't seen enough movies about is where humans are extinct and our bots continue to pretend to be humans, doing stuff like making fake porn and watching fake porn, and aliens come down and try to figure out what's going on here.
Yeah, it's like Doc Brown's lab at the beginning of Back to the Future, which is still making all the breakfast for the dog Einstein and everything like that. Yes.
Yeah, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So there was an Ethereum. Now this Ethereum moved, with great fanfare recently from proof of work to proof of stake. So it no longer consumes monstrous amounts of energy. But what the Bitcoin purists said is when you do that, it's going to be less secure. And now that appears to be coming true. So the new system is you have to stake a bunch of Ethereum, 32 Ether, which is a lot of money, to become a validator. Then you have a chance of validating a block. And how do you make money? Well, you make money by ripping people off. This is the normal stock market has these high-speed trading. So what you do is you reorder the transactions to maximize your profit. And some people even defeat it by multiple transactions. So what you do, somebody wants to buy this. Oh, well, I'll buy it first and jack up the price and then sell it by being, a second ahead in time or something. This is called maximum extractable value. So the bots, the transaction agents, are doing this to make money, which is not totally breaking Ethereum, but it is acting as sort of a tax on the system. But somebody found a way to exploit this and steal all the money that they were getting by this technique by running a malicious validator. And now this is a problem. Now there are validators, but some of them are maliciously stealing money out of the transactions they process, which is just what the whole point of proof of work was to prevent. So we'll see how much worse this gets, but they did manage to steal $20 million so far this way. And it does seem to be a systemic problem with the Ethereum blockchain that they're going to have to address in some way. Anyway, let's go back to you with your fake friends.
Yeah, so we talked earlier about TikTok and the problem of these APT groups using social media to either influence politics or to spy on people. And especially with the rise of generative AI, we're going to start seeing quote unquote fake friends. So this is a article by Harrods.com written by Omar. I have a cat in my lap. I can't even read the screen. Ben Jacob and Phineas Ruckert. I want to give them credit. I butchered their names. I'm so sorry. But yeah, they wrote this article about fake friends. Basically, what happens is that what's going on is that the Israeli firms are going on social media and then creating fake accounts that are being used to friend people that the Israeli government wants to spy on. And so they, befriend them, talk to them, send them messages, But of course, they're all just, government employees. And this reminds me of, how the US government used the FBI to go after communists and,
Oh, and
like,
telco.
yeah, like Intelpro and Black liberation groups back in the 1960s, where they would send in agents that would pretend to be on their side. They would go to meetings, they would befriend everyone there, and they'd become loved in the community. And then one day they would disappear. And then they would find out that, yeah, they were like an FBI agent just there to spy on them, spread in misinformation, get data. But this can happen en masse. You can be anyone you want on these social media networks. And of course, it's being leveraged by the governments to spy on dissidents and people they feel are too much of troublemakers.
Yeah, and in a way, it's inevitable, and it might not be totally wrong. There was somebody on Mastodon that was all upset about a major company that now offers a protest surveillance service where they will monitor social media and warn you when someone is likely to protest your company location or your type of product. And she said, this is an anti-protest service. And I said, well, you could say that. You could also say it is dealing with a legitimate threat, trying to warn you when people appear to be organizing to light protests so you can do something about it.
Right, exactly. I mean, and there's good reason. I mean, there are terrorists on social media. I'm not saying this is always wrong, but this can be misused in certain, especially in authoritarian regimes and fascist regimes. So,
and in ours too, which is not entirely that way, but often that way.
Yep.
Anyway, so I got several politics ones. The main one I thought was the most important. Our relations with China are getting worse and worse. It just seems like our two nations are on a collision course, and nothing seems able to stop it. And there are more details about it from an article at AP that I found echoed at Yahoo. So China, more details. China has chip foundries, but they can only make low-end processors used in autos and appliances. They're trying to move into the new, smaller nanometer features like 3 and 5 nanometers, and they can't get there. They're maybe a decade away from getting there because the US government is cutting off access to the tools they need. That will stop them from developing servers, AI, and other advanced applications. And so they claim their loudest complaint is they're blocked from getting a machine that they can only get from a Dutch company, ASML, that uses extreme ultraviolet to make these really small chips. And they're very, very upset at America strangling them. And what people expect is they will soon punch back by starting to ban important American imports. So we seem to be in a real economic Cold War, and it may turn into a real shooting war over Taiwan or something pretty soon. But both sides seem to me like they have very reasonable grievances. Americans complain that they just steal our stuff, they rip off our stuff, make Chinese knockoffs, they don't pay for patents, they just completely have unfair business practices. And the Chinese claim that we're just strangling them to death, and seem like both of us have very legitimate complaints. It would be nice if we could resolve them somehow without basically going to war with each other.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, China did start it, but it doesn't mean that we necessarily have to, play lowball as well.
From China's point of view, we started it with the 350 years of humiliation during the opium trade.
Well,
that's their point of view, and they have the plan. They're still trying to get revenge for that. Their centuries of humiliation, they're planning to overcome by being more powerful than the West to make up for that.
I mean, this is just silly.
Well, I don't know if that's silly.
Yeah, right? But what's really concerning is that it puts, and you mentioned Taiwan, this puts the crosshairs on TSMC.
Yeah.
And so TSMC needs to move. I mean, they need to get out of Taiwan ASAP. They don't have to come to America, but, they need to, find a place where they can be safe from this conflict.
Well, I imagine anybody with any sense is fleeing Hong Kong. I mean, I would. I mean, obviously, the writing is on the wall. Your business is not going to continue to succeed. Of course, now what China is doing recently is they're trying to woo the tech sector again and say, oh, we're going to support capitalism and tech sector and let you guys get rich again for a while to try to woo you back and appear to be pro-business before we crush you again.
Right.
But I don't think very many people are fooled by that.
Nope.
Anyway, there was an interesting article at popular.info about the No Labels organization. This seems to be an investigation from this one person, Judd Legum, But there's this group called No Labels. I've been hearing more and more about it, and I have the feeling Joe Manchin might be involved in it. He's in one like that. And what they're doing is they're trying to make a third party run for the presidency. They've announced this, and it does appear to be a thinly veiled Republican attempt to make Trump win, and very well work. They say, as you would expect, a centrist No Labels group will predominantly draw from Democrats because Republicans mostly think Trump is fine and they don't want a third party. And so this is something that the Republicans have done many times. I remember this is what Kanye West's run was a fake run to make Trump win. And there was even a case where they ran another candidate with the same name as the Democratic candidate, so voters couldn't tell them apart on the ballot. This is an old trick. And anyway, this group is got $70 million of money funding them, and they will not disclose who the funders are. So it's growing a lot. And, it sounds good that we would have a third party, but the immediate effect of a third party would be to put Trump in. And so
we should just eliminate all parties.
That would be nice.
I mean, it's just
like eliminating guns. If you could get there, that would be great.
Yeah.
But how do you get there from here?
Yeah. It's only slightly unconstitutional. But we, just change the Constitution. We can do it.
There are a bunch of things that might be nice if we could get there, but there doesn't seem to be a path to there from where we are.
Nope.
Anyway, there's also a new Randy Rainbow video, the grumpy tumpy felon from Jamaica and Queens, which is very good. So I highly recommend listening to that on this special day when Trump wanders in to be arrested. Should be happening just about right now.
Yeah, I still keep flashing back to Trump's early days of running for president and his slogan of "lock her up." It's so poetic that he's literally getting sent to jail. Oh my gosh! And the thing is, let's not make it political. Like, whether or not Trump goes to jail shouldn't be a win for the Democrats. Shouldn't be a win for the Republicans. I really think that a politician paying for crimes sets a good precedent that no one is above the law. And that's, maybe he'll go to court first, he's innocent until proven guilty. Maybe he'll have a great defense. Maybe he'll prove himself quite innocent. We don't know. Yeah. But the thing is, he's not above the law. And I very much appreciate the fact that, they're not treating him, like he is.
Yeah. I mean, it is, it's not good that this is the first case because this case is likely to be weak. He's likely to win, and it likely is pretty much politically motivated. But the cases that come after it are stronger and stronger, and he's going to have a bad year.
Yeah, well, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this one, and I'll be back on Friday, hopefully with Caitlin.
Will do.